Tonight, you are going to close your eyes and go somewhere else entirely. You will stand in a place that doesn't exist, talk to people who aren't there, run from something that can't hurt you, and then wake up and call it nothing. But your brain spent enormous energy building that experience. It burned calories. It fired neurons across billions of connections. It did all of that while your body was completely still. That is not nothing. That is one of the most mysterious things a human brain can do. And here is the strange part. The brain doing that right now is the same brain your ancestors had 70,000 years ago. It hasn't changed much, which means when your great-great-great-grandmother closed her eyes on a dirt floor inside a rock shelter, she went somewhere too. She dreamed. But what did she see? Not office deadlines, not missed flights, not the face of someone she met once at a party. Her world was entirely different, and that means her dreams were built from entirely different material. What you dream about tonight depends entirely on what your waking brain has processed. That is the foundation of what researchers call the continuity hypothesis. Calvin Hall, a psychologist who spent decades cataloging tens of thousands of dream reports throughout the mid-20th century, found one consistent pattern across every group he studied. People dream about the things they think about, fear, and experience while awake. The dream world is not random. It is a reflection. So if you want to understand what ancient humans actually dreamed about, you have to understand what their waking life actually felt like. And it felt nothing like yours. Start with the dark. Real dark. Not the soft orange glow of a streetlight bleeding through your curtains. Not the blue pulse of a phone screen on the nightstand. Complete, total, consuming darkness. The kind where you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. For almost all of human history, when the sun went down, the world became that. Fire helped. But fire is not a light switch. Fire flickers. It throws shadows. It makes the edges of the world uncertain and alive with movement. You had to tend it, or it died. And when it died, the dark came back. Ancient humans slept in that dark surrounded by sound. Wind, animals, the breathing of other people pressed close for warmth. Their nervous systems were tuned to threat. Researchers who study the sleep patterns of contemporary hunter-gatherer groups, like Jerome Siegel's work with the Hadza of Tanzania, have found that these groups rarely sleep in a single long block. They doze, wake, listen, doze again. Sleep is porous. The boundary between rest and alertness is thin by design. A brain that evolved in that environment would dream accordingly. Threat, movement at the edge of the firelight, something following, something watching. And here is something that might surprise you. Dreams of being chased are among the most universally reported dreams across every culture ever studied. Not just modern cultures, not just Western ones. Every group, every continent, every era of recorded dream history going back to the ancient Egyptians, who wrote their dreams on papyrus and considered them messages from the gods. That theme is so old it may be older than language itself. Antti Revonsuo, a Finnish neuroscientist and dream researcher, proposed something called the threat simulation theory. His argument is precise and a little unsettling. He believes dreaming evolved specifically to rehearse threatening situations, that the dream state is a kind of low-stakes training ground where your brain can run through danger, practice escape, and sharpen responses without any real-world cost. The nightmare by this theory is not a malfunction. It is the feature working exactly as designed. If Revonsuo is right, then your ancient ancestor being chased by something in a dream was not suffering. She was training, but not every ancient dream would have been a threat. Think about what else filled their waking minds. Food, water, the location of a herd they had tracked for 3 days, the face of someone they loved, the child they were trying to keep alive through a dry season. These things occupied their attention completely. Not dream about the mammoth you are hunting. Dream about the watering hole 2 days walk east. Dream about the elder who knows where the roots grow when the grass dies. And some researchers believe ancient dreams did more than rehearse. They may have solved problems. Deirdre Barrett, a psychologist at Harvard Medical School and author of research on dreams and creativity, has studied how the sleeping brain continues to process unresolved challenges. Dreams during REM sleep are particularly good at making novel connections, she argues, because the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and self-censorship, is largely offline. What is left is associative, lateral, strange. It connects things that waking logic would never allow to touch. For a hunter tracking prey, that kind of thinking could be the difference between finding food and going hungry. A dream that replays the terrain in a new sequence. A dream that combines the animal's behavior with a memory of how water flows after rain. A dream that surfaces a pattern the waking mind had gathered but not yet assembled. This is not mysticism. This is your brain doing what it does best when the filter is off. And ancient people knew something was happening. They just didn't have the word neuroscience. Every ancient culture on record treated dreams as meaningful, not as noise, not as the random firing of a resting brain. The ancient Mesopotamians had a goddess of dreams named Mamu. The Greeks believed dreams came from the god Morpheus and could deliver divine prophecy. Indigenous cultures across North America, South America, Africa, and Australia built entire spiritual practices around the dream state. They sent young people into the wilderness alone to fast and dream, seeking visions that would shape their adult identity. They gathered in the morning and told each other what they had seen, reading those images for guidance. For most of human history, the dream was not private. It was communal data. It was information that belonged to the group. You report your dreams to almost no one. You forget most of them within 10 minutes of waking. You call them weird and move on. Your ancestors would have found that waste baffling. There is a final piece to this that goes even deeper. Robert Stickgold at Harvard has spent years researching sleep and memory consolidation. His work suggests that REM sleep is not just replaying memories, it is rewriting them. Every night, your brain takes what happened to you, strips away some of the emotional charge, integrates it with older memories, and files it into long-term storage in a new, processed form. You wake up slightly different from who you went to sleep as. For an ancient human living in a world of constant high-stakes experience, this process was not optional. It was survival. The brain that could process the terror of a predator encounter and file it away without being paralyzed by it forever was a brain that could function the next morning. The dream was the processing. The nightmare was the cost of that processing going hard. And then morning came. The fire had to be fed. The camp had to move. The children had to be gathered. Whatever had visited in the night dissolved back into the body, unnamed, unrecorded, but not without effect. Because here is what all of this research points toward. The dream did not disappear when your ancestor woke up. It changed them. It reorganized their fear. It rehearsed their reflexes. It solved a problem they couldn't crack in daylight. It connected them to something they needed to feel connected to. Tonight, when you close your eyes and go somewhere else entirely, your brain will do the same thing it has always done. The same thing it did on a dirt floor inside a rock shelter 70,000 years ago. You will go somewhere. You will be chased, or loved, or lost, or found. You will solve something you didn't know you were working on. And then you will wake up and call it nothing. But now you know better.